Hello, Parkway Manor. Welcome back to Tuesday, April 21st. How to eat fried worms. Last time we read that the boys got into a big argument, and a lot of it had to do about the worms. Alan and Joe were frustrated because Billy is eating the worms, and Billy and Tom it's kind of like two teams against each other. Basically, the dads sat the boys down and said they need to work it out, that this is enough nonsense. Our chapter 31, which was our last chapter we read, ended with something called the letter. And if you remember, it was a mysteriously typed letter, supposedly from Billy's pediatrician, Dr. McGrath. But we talked about that. We're not sure if that really is a true letter. Basically, the letter was talking about how he probably shouldn't be eating worms. So let's continue. Chapter 32, Croak. His hand trembling, Billy laid the peanut butter and fried worm sandwich down on the table. Do you think? Wow, whispered Tom. The screen door banged. Billy's father came into the kitchen. His tie loosened, his jacket over his arm. He laid his briefcase on the table. Oh, it's hot, he said cheerfully. Billy staggered to the sink and feebly drew himself a glass of water. Tom and Emily watched him, kind of awestruck. What's the matter? Asked Billy's father. Water dribbled down Billy's chin and onto his t-shirt as he drank. His mind kept thinking, poison? Paralysis? Extreme lassitude? Tom, said Billy's father, what's going on here? Tom pointed at the letter, which was lying on the table. Billy's father read it, smiled, glanced at Billy, got something to drink out of the refrigerator, and sat down at the table. Well, he said to Billy, so it fooled you, huh? Fooled me, croaked Billy. Guess we got our answer, boys and girls. The letter was not, in fact, from the doctor. Chapter 33, the 14th worm. But how could Alan and Joe know all those medical words, Mr. Forrester asked Tom. You know, like lumbricus coriopus, fulmar. Tom, do you know what fulmar really means? Tom and Billy shook their heads. I actually think it's a bird. It's a seabird, I think. Boy, said Billy, disgusted. He sat back down at the table and picked up his sandwich. They could be arrested, Mr. Forrester, said Tom. Couldn't they be arrested for defrauding the mails? Couldn't they? Billy grinned and bit down on his peanut butter and fried worm sandwich. Chapter 34, the 15th, ... Standing on a rusty pail, Billy peered through a crack into the horse barn. Joe was wandering about, lashing at cobwebs with a stick. Alan was slumped on a barrel. Billy went around to the door. Hi, he said. Alan didn't look up. Hi, said Joe. Billy glanced around suspiciously. Take it easy, said Joe. We concede. Least I do. He's still trying to think up of something. He pointed at Alan with the stick. Where's Tom? Said Billy. He wouldn't eat his lunch, so his mother kept him in. Billy leaned over the platter on the orange crate and smelled the steaming southern fried worm. He wanted to load it with red pepper, said Joe, but I wouldn't let him. Billy forked ketchup, mustard onto the platter, cut a piece of worm, dipped it in the glop, stuck it in his mouth, chewed nervously at first, swallowed, cut another piece. The worm tasted actually better than usual, sort of like kidney beans. You know, the ones used in chili. Southern fried kidney beans. Where'd you get this one? Down behind Bannerman, said Joe. From the muck, yelled Alan. The muck. Gooey, slimy, stagnant muck. Billy grinned. Yeah? You'll have to go show me, because this worm's the best one yet. Alan jumped up and kicked the barrel, clattering into a stall. Joe shrugged at Billy, grinning. Billy held up the last bite. Ta-da! And he swallowed it. Okay, let me look, said Alan. Come on. And he peered into Billy's mouth. Oh, no, come on. There's still some stuff between your teeth up there. Okay? Alan's shoulders slumped. I can't get the money until tomorrow, he said. Aw, geez. You know I'm going to have to work Saturdays for 6 months just to pay this back. He trudged slowly toward the door. Coming, Joe? Yeah, maybe your father won't act so bad if I'm there when you tell him. Alan stopped in the door. Tomorrow, he said, without turning around, 10 o'clock. He sounded as if he was going to cry. Yeah, sure, said Billy. Make it later if you want. Nah, it's not going to do any good putting it off. Come on, Joe. Chapter 35 is called Burp. Left alone in the barn, Billy hugged himself. I won! I won $50! Ha ha! He sat down in the crate grinning. Heck, I knew I could do it. Ha! I was so scared at first, waking everybody up in the middle of the night. He burped. Beans. I should have made it 30 worms and $100. That stupid letter. Joe knew when he was licked through, though. Ha! Geez. Wait a minute. Beans! He stood up. How come that burp tasted like beans? He'd had a hamburger for lunch and a glass of milk, and then the worm. Say, wait. Oh, no, they couldn't have. He snatched up the platter. Nothing left but a few crumbs of cornmeal, so couldn't even check. Craning his neck, his eyes bugging out, straining, he burped again. Beans! Again, beans! He burst out of the barn, stumbling over the sill, yelling. Across the field, Joe and Alan turned. Alan started to run. Joe grabbed his arm. It was a fake, panted Billy. You faked it. That wasn't a real worm. Real worm, said Joe. What are you talking about? You made a worm, yelled Billy, out of beans. Then tomorrow you were going to say I'd lost, that I hadn't eaten 15 worms, because the last one was fake. Oh, geez, said Alan. Come on, will ya? He didn't do it while I was around, said Joe. You sure? What'd you have for lunch? I had a hamburger and milk, nothing with beans. Yeah, but where'd you get the hamburger? I don't know, my mother bought it. What difference does that make? Yeah, well, a lot of the hamburger you get these days has stuff mixed in it. You know, like sausage meat, soybeans, breadcrumbs. You know, so the butcher makes more money. Yeah, said Billy, sure. But anyway, you come on back just to make sure I'm going to eat another worm. Geez, suit yourself. Eat 4 more. Come on, Alan, let's go. Let him eat what he wants. Chapter 36, the 15th, but look at the chapter title, W-O ... Billy threw back his head, lowered the worm. Alan charged around the door, leaped on Billy's back, flung him to the ground, punching and yelling, jumped up, grabbed Billy's feet, dragged him bump across the rough floor to the tool closet. Oh my gosh, he bundled him inside, slammed the door, and locked it. Boy, he really does not want Billy to eat that last worm. There was silence. Water trickling into the trough outside. Alan was panting. What are you going to do with him? Joe asked. If he's in the closet, he can't eat the last worm, can he? You're crazy. He's going to start to yell and his parents will hear him. Yeah? Alan's hair was all messed up and his shirt tail hung out. Yeah, said Joe, eyeing him. He will. He'll start to yell and his parents will hear him. Alan glanced wildly about, started toward the door, and turned. Not if we put him down the cistern. The cistern? Joe said as he wiped his mouth. Alan, cut it out. It's only $50. Face it, you've lost. You can't put Billy down in that cistern all by himself. Suppose there's water in it. That hole's 15 feet deep. We can lower him down with a rope. All of a sudden, they kept hearing bang, 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 bang. It was Billy kicking at the tool closet door. Let me out! Help! Let me out! That's cheating! Help! I want to get out! I want to get out! I want to get out! Bang! 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 He kept chanting rhythmically as he kicked the door with both feet. Alan ran across the barn and, grabbing hold of a beam, skidded to a stop. He began to kick aside the hay and trash, which littered the planks over the old cistern. Bang! 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 I want to get out! I want to get out! I want to get out! Come on, Alan yelled at Joe. Help me. We were all down in that last year. How's it going to hurt him? Come on. It'll work. I'll split the money with you. Get some rope. Bang! 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 I want to get out! Now, I feel like we've read a lot, but I also feel like we're going to be hanging if I stop here. Let's just finish the book. Let's go. Chapter 37. Out of the frying pan and into the oven. On his knees, yanking at the planks which covered the old cistern, thinking, yes, I've got him. I've got him. I win. He'll never. Alan felt a hand grip his shoulder, and he heard someone yell, "What the devil is going on in here?" as Mr. Forster shouted down at him. Bang! 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 I wanna... A confused babble of voices started dying out suddenly. Now, said Mr. Forster. Alan and Joe, home. Scoot. Alan and Joe crowded out the door. I've won, crowed Billy. He danced toward the platter. Nothing can. Billy, get up to your room. But, Dad, I just got to eat this worm. Oh, I've won. I've won. Billy, up to your room. Dad, And his father pointed. Ooh, Dad is mad. Dad, if I don't eat what's left, I'll lose. Alan will win. It's just 2. Now, this bet is over, young man. You know what I've told you about that cistern. No one is to go near it. Dad, I'll lose. I'll lose. Alan will... Well, then you'll learn something. March. You mean I can't even eat that last little bit? How long could it take me? What could... Billy, I said now. Billy kicked the bed. He'd won. All he'd had to do was eat 2 more bites. 2 bites! He kicked the wall. Oh, what did his father get so mad for? Alan started opening the cistern, not him. Geez, he didn't even let me explain. Twice he'd won. And then something had happened. And now he was going to lose. After all he went through. Nightmares, fights, thinking that he'd been poisoned, all for nothing. He kicked the bed. He was so frustrated. Mrs. Forster, said Tom, peering through the screen door. Could I see Billy for a minute, please? Sorry, Tom. He's up in his room being punished. He and Joe and Alan were not behaving well this afternoon. Yeah, said Tom. No kidding. What'd they do? Billy kicked the wall again. 2 minutes. What difference 2 minutes could have made? He leaned his forehead against the window pane, gazing dejectedly out into the backyard. That's what always happened. Somebody. Tom's younger brother, Pete, appeared suddenly around the corner of the house, running, holding up a little yellow Easter basket, kind of gesturing to him. The worm! Tom! Oh, Pete had brought him a worm! The 15th worm! Billy slammed up the window. Here, catch, yelled Pete. Hurry, Tom's talking to your mother. There's a picture of the basket being thrown up there to Billy. He heaved a brick with a string tied to it. Billy caught it, hauled the string up, hand over hand. The basket came bobbing up the side of the house. Alan and Joe plunged out of the bushes. Billy snatched the tin can out of the Easter basket, plucked out a huge, squirming night crawler. Mrs. Forster! Mrs. Forster! Alan and Joe shouted at the top of their lungs, dancing about on the lawn, kind of waving their arms at Mrs. Forster. Mrs. Forster! Mrs. Forster! Too late, yelled Billy gleefully. Throwing back his head, he dropped the squirming nightcrawler into his mouth, chewed and chewed until it was all gone. Tom and Mrs. Forrester appeared around the corner of the house. "Too late," Billy yelled, still chewing. "It's too late. I win." He disappeared from the window. A door slammed inside the house. A trampling on the stairs. He burst out the kitchen door. A flying leap off the back steps. He rolled, scrambled up, yelling, "I win! I win! I win!" as he grabbed Tom's hands. They danced round and round, Pete dancing along beside them. Joe and Alan slunk off through the bushes. Round and round, Tom and Billy and Pete still danced. Billy's mother laughed and went into the kitchen. "I win," gasped Billy to the blue cloudless sky. "I win." Billy leaned the mini bike against a tree and started down the path through the woods. Tom and Joe were already sitting by a smoldering trash fire on the riverbank, opening their lunch bags. "Where's Alan?" "At the store?" asked Billy, flopping down by Tom. "Yeah," said Joe. "He's still got 2 more weeks of work." "What have you got for lunch?" asked Tom. Billy looked embarrassed. "Worm and egg on rye." "Heck," said Tom. "Why can't you ever bring something somebody else likes so we can trade?" Billy frowned, and he opened his lunch bag. "I don't know, I just can't stop eating them. I don't dare tell my mother. I actually like the taste now." He scratched his head. "Do you think there's something the doctors don't know? Do you think I could be the first person ever who's been hooked on worms?" And Parkway Manor, that is the end of our story. What's neat, I never noticed it as a kid, but at the back of the book, it has some wacky worm recipes, like worms and dirt dessert, crunchy carrot worm salad, worm pizza, green bean casserole a la worm, wormy jello, and worm burgers. The good news is all the ingredients are really good and they don't include worms. So, Parkway Manor, I hope you enjoyed our book. Stay tuned for tomorrow where we'll start a new read aloud. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye.